Just one of the ones that, like, ever since I was little, you see it in books and on TV, and I think it's actually better than I even expected it to be.
There is possibly no biome that defines the American Southwest quite like the desert. Hills and cliffs dotted with cacti and other spiky plants evoke images of cowboys riding across the dusty and hostile landscapes trying to survive the elements. The deserts of the Southwest can certainly be inhospitable to any creature not equipped to deal with them, but there is a whole set of plants and animals that carve out a living in these seemingly barren places. We ventured to the Sonoran Desert in Arizona to try and find some of the unique birds that make their living in this arid environment. Hey everyone, this is Ryan and Derek from Badgerland Birding, and today we're out at one of what I would call the premier birding destinations in Arizona, Saguaro National Park, where there are two sides to the east and the west. We're in the east today at a picnic area, and we're trying to find some of these classic Sonoran Desert species.
Yeah, and the habitat out here is just absolutely insane. Really excited to walk around and see what we can find today.
The Sonoran Desert covers 100,000 square miles and spans portions of the southeastern United States and northwestern Mexico. While it may look desolate at first glance, this particular desert contains an impressive amount of life, with over 500 different species of birds, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians calling it home. Right from the start, we were in awe of the Sonoran Desert as we were finally able to witness firsthand a place that we'd seen countless times in documentaries and movies.
This is an amazing place. Definitely a habitat unlike anything I've ever seen before, but it's one of the ones that, like, ever since I was little, you see it in books and on TV, and I think it's actually better than I even expected it to be.
Starting from a picnic area, we began scanning the cacti and listening for birds in the immediate area. Right away, we heard a call that sounded similar to a northern cardinal, but subtly different. We tracked down the bird making the noise, and it turned out to be a fascinating Sonoran Desert species, the Pyrrholoxia. The Pyrrholoxia looks remarkably similar to a female northern cardinal, with a gray body and red on their crest, tail, and wings. Males of this species also have red on their underside and face, and both males and females have a short, robust yellow-colored bill. Pyrrholoxias can be found in the arid deserts of northern Mexico and the southwestern United States, where they can be seen and heard calling from the tops of shrubs. These birds can also be spotted foraging on the ground or in thickets. They have also been known to visit bird feeders where they use their thick bills to crack seeds. Pyrrholoxias are not strictly seed eaters, however, and in fact, their diet is widely variable and includes saguaro cactus fruit as well as insects. I feel like Pyrrholoxia is one of those classic birds that you know exists in the Sonoran Desert, so I'm really glad that we were able to get that one right away. There's a couple other species kind of like that I want to get as well, so hopefully this will be a really solid morning because we only have a short time before it really gets too hot to do anything. We started getting ready to walk some of the trails, taking the necessary precautions when hiking in a potentially dangerous climate. Usually when we go birding out in the east or Wisconsin area, you just take a bottle of water, and out here it's a different story, so you want to have several bottles of water and make them really big too. So this is the one that I'm going to be drinking out of today and lugging around. So if you're out here, make sure you're prepared because the heat's going to get real.
Also make sure you're putting on a lot of sunscreen, reapply often, get that high SPF stuff, because you definitely don't want to get sunburned and then have it kind of ruin the rest of your trip.
We headed down one of the trails that mazed through the giant saguaro cacti that stood like thousands of lighthouses watching over the desert. The saguaros serve as important pillars of survival for many desert species, as they provide not only fruit, but shelter.
Saw a couple of cool woodpeckers so far. One was actually hanging out on the top of one of the saguaros, which is really cool. And actually behind me is one of the saguaros as well, and a lot of animals will perch on these, some will nest inside them. Just a great feature to have that the birds all take advantage of.
Many different species nest in these cacti, including a woodpecker species that can only be found in the American Southwest and Mexico. the Gila woodpecker. The Gila woodpecker can be identified by its tan head and underside, black and white striped wings, and red patch on the top of the head of the males. Females lack this red patch. Gila woodpeckers are a species exclusive to arid environments and typically live below 3,000 feet in elevation. They can be found in only a few states on a regular basis, including New Mexico, Arizona, and California, with the greatest number of individuals in the U.S. residing in Arizona. In addition to their range in the U.S., a large portion of the population lives in northern Mexico. Gila woodpeckers call often and perch out in the open, making them very noticeable when they're around. This species eats a wide variety of food items, including fruits, seeds, invertebrates, and even eggs of other bird species. We saw many Gila woodpeckers hopping up and down different types of desert plants, but their relationship with the saguaro cactus was on full display when we found a nest site.
Just encountered one of those woodpecker nests that's in the cactus, and one of the parents was coming, and you could see the young pop its head out every once in a while.
The Gila woodpecker is probably one of the species that comes to mind first when people think of the birds of the desert. We were certainly excited to see them flying around and perching on cacti, but the fact that we found an actual nest cavity was a huge bonus. We continued walking the winding trail as it dipped low into washes and swung back up to the top of rocky outcroppings. In this stretch, we noticed several verdins hopping around the bushes. We also found a notorious plant species, best known for the damage it can do to humans that get too close. I came across some cholla, which are these cacti that are really prickly, and if you touch them, they will get embedded into your skin and usually pull off with you. So these are ones I definitely do not want to come into contact with whatsoever. There's a bunch of videos out there actually of people that do get these stuck on them, and it does not look pleasant at all. Doing our best to avoid the chollas, we continued on the path heading to the top of a hill. In these areas with large boulders and scrubby plants, we found a few different species, including black-throated sparrows and black-tailed gnatcatchers.
Just had a really nice experience with a gnatcatcher that came in and fed right in front of me. It's very quiet out here, and so you can really just hear the birds and the insects. You get an occasional person coming by, but overall it's just very peaceful and serene.
Here, we also got good looks at a species we had been seeing and hearing ever since our arrival. Just got one of the birds we were really excited to see, the cactus wren. I think they're pretty abundant in this area, but they're really neat looking for a wren. And kind of big, they sit up on the saguaro, so really cool find. In terms of wren species, cactus wrens are absolutely massive, coming in between 18 and 22 centimeters in length. They are also quite sporty looking, with a black speckled throat, white and dark brown stripes on their head, a brown back with white streaks, and peach coloring along their sides. These wrens can be found in the southwestern states of the U.S. and northern Mexico, where they inhabit dry desert and scrubland, in addition to more urban areas as well. One of the best descriptions of the cactus wren's personality comes from the Cornell Lab's All About Birds website, which states that these chunky wrens are always up to something. Indeed, that sentence is accurate, as they always seem to be hopping around the cacti, searching for food, and communicating with each other, often using their distinctive call that gives the Sonoran Desert a particular ambiance. Cactus wrens rarely drink water, as they get most of the moisture they need from their diet, which is mostly comprised of insects and spiders, but also includes fruit. As we reached the farthest point on the trail that we were planning to go, we had another new species for the day, which also turned out to be a life bird for both of us.
Just picked up a brown crested flycatcher. There was actually a pair, and that's a lifer for both of us. Similar to the ash-throated flycatcher, but it's nice to pick up one more species before we head back down and see what we can find down at the base.
Reaching the top of this particular section of desert, we looked out over the Sonoran, appreciating the beauty of the landscapes.
We've reached about the highest point that we're going to go, and now we're going to start making our trek back down. Some of the highlights so far has just been the incredible landscape, but definitely the paraluxia has been really cool. We've been seeing some flickers as well, and the gnatcatcher was very neat, but just so much to take in, and such an expansive area, you feel like you could never explore the whole thing in a day, let alone a couple hours. But we're going to start making our way back down, then maybe walk the road, some of the other trails, see what else we can find there.
We headed back toward the trailhead as the heat of the day started significantly raising the temperature. This caused much of the bird activity to slow down. As the day is going on here, it's definitely getting hotter, and it seems like the birds have kind of not been as active since it's been a little bit warmer, but we'll see if we can pick out something else on our way back still. On our way back, we encountered smaller numbers of the same species we saw on the way there, in addition to a canyon towhee. With just a bit of time left before it became too hot to be out, we switched our approach to walking the road, enabling us to cover a lot of ground quickly. In doing so, we were able to see cactus wrens frolicking around the saguaros, as well as a few curve-billed thrashers sitting up, and sometimes even calling. How does he make you feel?
I like him. I'm a big thrasher fan. Real melodious call normally.
With the sun now high in the sky, and the heat getting to the point where it's considered dangerous to be hiking, we found some shade and reflected on our time in the Sonoran Desert.
We just finished the walking section of Saguaro National Park, and on the way out we're going to see if we can find anything new perched up, but really incredible time here, great habitat, great birds.
Yeah, there's some very specific species that like this habitat, like the woodpeckers that we saw, also the cactus wren that were really cool to see. And it's always nice to come to a place where you can just get the birds that are common there that would be rare pretty much anywhere else. So really cool place that's worth a visit.
And even if you can see those birds elsewhere, seeing them in this habitat is definitely worth it.
The Sonoran Desert is certainly a unique and beautiful habitat. With animals specialized to live in this arid and harsh environment, this place is an ecological gem, resting alongside many of the largest cities in the American Southwest. While we felt like we were thorough in our birding efforts at Saguaro National Park, we would still love to come back and see what else there is to find. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.
I also have a hiking boot half on because I got so excited when I got out of the car. It's one of those there was no time. I'm gonna drink that water.
Saw a lot of species, time for a water break.
I think I'm gonna pass on that.